Excellent. Welcome everybody to tonight's meeting of planning. Eastminster Town Council planning. Warm welcome to everybody. Please, can I ask everybody in the public Zoom area to turn off their cameras unless they're speaking, as it allows the council picture to be larger, if that's okay. And for those watching back on YouTube and avoids their own picture being captured. Public questions is open to everybody, but once we've passed that, the only town councillors invited guests to their specific agenda item may speak. So the first item on the agenda is public participation. Do we have any?
No, we only have Councillor Mrs. Mockford, who is joining the committee with your grace. Yeah.
Thank you. Fantastic. So next item is apologies absent. We have two apologies. Councillor Visser, who's got a personal engagement tonight, and Councillor Peacock, who is isolating. Can I propose that we accept their absence, please? Do I have a second?
Yes, please. Second. And
all those in favour?
That's lovely. Thank you.
Sorry, I'll do it on that one. Next item is to receive the minutes of the meeting held on the 14th of February. I would propose that we accept those. John, all those in favour?
Lovely, thank you.
Do I need to sign?
Yes, please. Oops. If you can initial the bottom of that page. Just initial the bottom. Sign where it says chairman, please. And then initial the bottom of each of these pages, please. Oh yes, of course there is. And that's, I believe, is it? Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Stuff. Next item is to receive members' declaration of interest. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm a member of Midlands District Council Planning Committee, and therefore I reserve the right to change my opinion following this meeting in accordance with any further information that's provided by the officers. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Chairman's announcements. We'll just add in the response from Councillor Whitaker, or the response to Councillor Whitaker's email regarding highways around Felbridge from Councillor Salisbury from Mid Sussex. I'll just read out what Councillor Salisbury wrote back to Rex 4. It's important to remember that there's already a commitment to finding workable solutions. The Surrey County Council response acknowledges, by reference to the signed statement of common ground dated 2020, that there's been an ongoing collaboration by all the parties to find solutions to the highway matters. The SOCG acknowledges that transport schemes are required, including at the A22-A264 Felbridge junction, that both proposed allocations, SA19 and SA20, will make financial contributions to assist delivery highway improvements, and commits the councils to continue to work together to progress detailed feasibility work and to assist in bringing forward a scheme. Finally, it's also important to remember that traffic issues were examined by the planning inspector at the hearings into these sites. No main modifications are proposed on these matters, as the draft site-specific policies relating to allocations 19 and 20 already require the developers to work collaboratively with and to the satisfaction of both Surrey and West Sussex County Council highway authorities to mitigate the highways impacts of the developments along the A22 and A264 corridor. The developers, each of the allocations, are required to address the transport impacts of their schemes through the submission of a detailed planning application supported by the necessary sustainable transport strategy and transport assessment reports to identify appropriate mitigation and demonstrate how the development will be accompanied by the necessary sustainable infrastructure to support it. And at planning application stage, it will be for each of the county councils as highway authorities to agree the most appropriate strategy. I can assure you that planning permission would not be granted unless a strategy for mitigation has been agreed. Councillor Salisbury will be attending the annual town meeting to give an update on planning matters at district and answering questions, and that is a meeting on the 23rd of March. So that's Chair's announcements. Item number 6 is licensing applications. We have one, which is just a removal of sale of alcohol from the licence for King's Leisure Centre, Places for People. Do we have to vote for that?
If you wish to make comment on it, yes. If there's no comment to go, then that will be the response that we give.
Anybody have a comment? No, I think that's fine.
Well, presumably got somebody else selling the booze,
Possibly.
somebody else with a license.
Or they might just do anything. It could be energy drinks only.
I can't believe that everybody missed the opportunity to make money out of selling booze.
Yeah.
Someone.
Next one, item number 7 is protected tree applications. There are a few. Does anybody have any specific comments to make? Councillor Hall.
Yeah, the tree in number 11, Water Avenue. Yeah, I know that the tree is a protected tree, so I went there. And the tree is beautiful, it's healthy. So I found out from the owner that it's a recommendation from the insurance. Yeah, that the tree should be taken down. And thanks Julie for circulating the response of the information from the owner that it causes problem with the soil and truck to the property, including subsidies. So it's a recommendation uploaded from the insurance. There's a report from the surveyor and everything is all there. And this planning application was also discussed last December 6th, but it's a different planning application number. So the committee agreed to support it, no objection, subject to the 3 officers. I think for me, we need to maintain that comment that subject to the 3 officers.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Anybody else got any comments on that? So I propose it will refer to tree officer recommendations. Do I have a second for that? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Next item is item number 8. We've got the first item on the list. Do I need to speak up, Julie? Is I don't know. Julie, you all right? Okay, good. The first item on the list.
Apologies, manufacturing white.
No,
Yes,
thanks, Jason. No, it's good to see you. First item on the application list is DM 220253 4 Stockwell Road. It's a 2-storey side extension. We have got one objection, which is from the neighbour to the left, number 6. This is Helen Sykes, this is me. See that you can. I don't know whether you guys can see that properly. Is that big enough? Do I need to expand?
What I can do is take that down if that helps.
So the side extension is on the left-hand side of the house as you look at it. So the building above the garage. And I'm in 2 minds here because obviously there are the house next door. It will be very overbearing, I think, as an addition to that property to the number 6 Stockwell Road. My initial thoughts were because of that, that it is a large extension, it's going to be quite close to that other residence. My initial thought would be to go for refusal under the grounds that it is overbearing, and that neighbour will lose quite a lot of light. But that's my view. If anybody would like to second that,
Sorry.
or Nelson. Has anybody got any comments?
Mr. Chairman, is the extension up to the boundary? Is it up to the boundary or? Yeah, we've got a boundary plan to see that.
So the boundary plan is here. Sorry. It's clunky, my PC compared to a Mac. Can anybody see that? Just expand it.
Oh, I think, my sorry. Computer.
So you can see the existing plot, and they're going to be extending it all the way there. So it is in line with the other property in terms of they're not extending over the property. Number 6 Stockwell. Oh, thank you. Well, this is exciting. Here we go. So we're ready to do well. So jealous. So that's the bit that they're extending into, but it's double height.
So they're getting in that void.
Yes, and going up on that section as well.
Going up on that section. So that's a single story, isn't it?
Yes. Any comments?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I don't feel that it is a variance at all. If you have a look at the neighbouring property, there is a window and a door by the looks of it, which is indented so that you can get in and out the back door sort of thing. I don't particularly see it as a problem. There is plenty of room there. They are sticking to the existing boundary. And when I looked at this, I understand exactly the quantities that you set yourself, but I think that it is such a thing that it is likely to get approved when it actually comes to the planning authority. Because look, in all fairness, it does look okay to me. It looks like they're just building over the top of of what is the existing garage, and also building this back.
Yeah.
What was that?
You said.
I think it's Councillor Mrs. Mockford.
No, that's a fair comment. I think also, Town Mayor, that what it doesn't show you in the drawings, it's very difficult to distinguish where the line of the additional element of the. So if you can.
I think it's basically following the line of the garage.
So this is the garage, the existing garage here.
Yeah. Sorry. I think if you go to the bigger picture, if you actually go onto the picture itself, you can actually see more of it. So,
Yeah.
that'll be good. Yeah, you see, I mean, there's plenty of room there, and they're only going where the garage is. I don't think it's a problem.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to, if you want to have a council proposal, but we'll just listen to.
I think in support of Town Mayor, and it also looks like there's a height difference. So it looks like it's stepping down, which probably would mean that the sort of ridge height wouldn't be as high. And I understand their concerns, but I think there's a lot of houses that are in a similar vein to that around the town. And I think that probably from a planning legality perspective, it would probably be accepted by the officers.
What about design?
Sorry?
What about design? The design of it.
I'm sorry, my opinion on design is kind of, when it goes to the issue, it seems to be subjective, so I don't think I can comment on design, if I'm honest.
I agree with the objection about the fact that there is nothing to stop the fact that it's probably looks done. I mean, I don't think it's something that we can reject.
No.
Obviously, You know, it would look nice if you follow the roof line or something like that.
The cladding inside.
So it's not,
That's what, yeah, that's how
the actual structure looks as though what they intended to do is pretty much what we've got now. That's why.
I think also from a sort of perspective that it's probably, by doing that roof like that, it's probably less, it's taken away less light from the neighbour as well. So, you know, there's a number of things that again, I probably wouldn't get drawn into the conversation design.
That's the rear elevation there, isn't
No, that's
it?
a,
Front, front.
Yeah.
So they're just blank walls, aren't
It's just
Yes.
blank all up. It's not really pretty.
they? I think it's ugly. I do agree with the mayor though, that having seen the photograph, I'm not so, I was expecting it to be a lot closer from the drawing. And so looking at the photograph, it does look that a lost cause to oppose it. I would say though that aesthetically, that big blank wall there is going to look awful from the street side.
Brick wall, isn't it?
yeah.
What's the floor plan? If they've got a floor plan, what's going in next?
It might well be that it's window from a farm's.
Well, I would expect you to see a window.
Oh, I
or
thought
two.
So it looks like they've got a window at the back, Frank.
It's a window at the back.
No windows.
Just looks a bit strange. doesn't it?
This is not full.
It's there.
I mean, my thoughts on it is,
So that would be, no.
if we bought a house like that. we couldn't
That's
get it,
basically
that's the
facing
sort of thing that we
number
want to
6.
do.
So that looks like it's recessed back over the second floor.
It's above the garage, so you can just see.
Oh, I think
it is recessed.
so. If that's the front, isn't it? So that's the garage. That's the front. So the top floor is recessed back quite a way back.
Yeah.
So it won't be like a flat wall like that. It's going to be sitting back like that. Steps back. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not just going to say it's going to make it pretty, but it looks fancy. It was just a
Councillor
square.
Hall, you wanted to.
I was thinking about the light, is the light coming from? One, that's the concern of the residents.
Well, north is here, so west, the west facing is at 90 degrees. That's the west. Councillor.
Thank you, Chairman. Just, no, I can see on the surface wall council, it's obviously hard because you've got an applicant in your ward who would like you to support an application. You've got a neighbour who is not in favour of the application, and it, on a when there's no right answer, it can be very hard to decide. But I think I would agree with the majority that there were more grounds for supporting it than there are for refusing it.
So we have a new proposal.
No, Chairman, you've got
We have
proposal.
a proposal.
You have a
from Ryan.
proposal which has been seconded, and yes, you have to vote on that.
Well, I'll withdraw my second if it makes life easier.
No, we'll just do it.
No, you've had the debate.
We'll vote for the, can we vote for refusal? All those in favour?
Just before you do it, just one more question. The garage, is that still a garage or is that turned into? But it looked like a plain brick wall at the front.
No, at the bottom you can see the garage door.
Oh, could you?
And then
I
above it,
didn't
it's
see
stepped
that.
back and you've got the brick wall.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Okay. Vote for refusal, please. That's unanimous.
So that's for approval, that's fine.
So can we have,
There's no need because
There's no
it had, the refusal has failed,
right,
and therefore the decision is therefore to accept it. So
Okay.
it's-
that's
So it's a bit of
fine.
a-
I'm not taking it personally, chaps. It's all okay.
Yeah. And if anybody's not happy with that being the default position, then they will have to make a new proposal, but that's what will happen. The refusal was knocked out, so therefore you're going to approve.
That's fine, okay, this is what I get, we'll then jump back, here we go, Mulberry Gate. Next on the list is DM 220474, the land rear of Mulberry Gate, Cockthorne Road. Outline planning application seeking permission for the erection of up to 2 dwellings with all matters reserved except access and associated works. We have a number of objections on the portal about it. So, all relating to access and various other things. So I'm going to hand over to Councillor Osborne to kick us off, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've experienced all of this inadequate accesses, and it's not necessarily a thing that puts the district council off giving permission. Much to my chagrin. But what I would say is that I think we should support the residents here because it is a problem. The access is inadequate. There's no doubt about that. And as it stands, the application as it stands, I think should be refused on those grounds.
Okay.
That needs to be solved, that problem. If it comes back with a solution, then there's a different matter.
So the proposal is to refuse this application. A second. Great, thank you, Tony. Any other comments?
Can I ask, obviously our county council for the division is here, and I don't know if that was, this is a particular reason for coming to.
I came to listen to you discuss Florence Farm,
Oh,
and
okay.
you passed over it. The pace of answer surprised me, but there are 3 on this road that I am interested in. Listen for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The residents put a very interesting case forward with regards to the width of the road and the access to the development. There's a lot of confusion with regards to measurements of the access road that they're proposing. The developer, as is their wont, says it's such and such a distance. Well, actually, if you speak to the residents who've measured it properly, they say it's this distance, which is a lot narrower. And if you can, one of the main sticking points is this chicane area here, which there's a massive query about getting heavy vehicles through. And it's this bit here, which is very narrow. My thoughts on it were that when why these houses weren't built when Marlborough Court was built, I don't know. Second of all, access here seems a bit daft when this field here is actually now houses. I don't know. Anyway, that's just my comments. There's tree officer has refused under DP 37. There's a lot of they're getting rid of quite a number of trees in that area,
They've got TPOs on.
Sorry?
You know, they've got TPOs on.
No,
There's nothing, if they haven't, there's nothing to stop the developer from going in and chopping them down and taking advantage of that fact.
Just not any residents, I guess.
yeah, we think that the highways have based their decision that the highway said it's not a problem, but I think that was all based on a desktop study. There's no one has gone and physically investigated the access points. It's also gated as well, don't forget. Now I wrote some notes. Yes, basically it's the residents claiming that it's the actual width of that road is 2.59 meters, which is not very wide at all, and certainly not wide enough for large vehicles and emergency services. So I think there needs to be a re-evaluation really in terms of what can be done.
Well, I think with us refusing it, when it goes to Mid Sussex, if we don't prompt that investigation, they will do it themselves anyway. So you'll get another opinion of that when the planning officers actually consider the application.
I think also it's important to know that it's a gated community, Town Clerk. There's an element of children's safety on that with a gated community too, as well as the Hudson highways to reevaluate that. Plus the trees and biodiversity lots as well. So never vote for refusal, please. Okay. Right. Next up is DM 220274 tasting rooms, 14 High Street. Retrospective change of use of flower bed to covered outdoor seating area for eating and drinking with wood and electric radiator heater. We'll go to the committee first, and then we'll hear from Councillor Mrs. Mockford as well, who's got would like to have a say on this too. Would anybody like to kick us off for this? Do we have anybody in town? Do we? Okay, so
Okay, I think it's, if I may, Chair, I think it's been a terrific addition to the town, Alfredo dining, and it's been particularly useful during the pandemic. It's these two places proved their worth, and there are indications that the townsfolk themselves like it, and are ready for more, basically. So personally, I was.
Can you swoop into the actual?
can I
vote,
ask,
Tom?
that needs to be seconded, sorry, councillor. We need a second for that proposal, please. I'll second it. Yeah. Any comments from the committee, and then we'll go to councillor Smith. John?
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Councillor, my fault, you go.
Okay. Well, of course, the loss of flatbeds is, very sad. Those flatbeds have been very well received over the years and very well maintained by town council. But times obviously changed during the pandemic, and I've spoken to quite a lot of just true general business and retail people who were a bit sceptical to start with, have also noticed an upturn in business on social media. Whilst you get an array of comments, I think probably the majority are in favour of saying it adds great buzz and atmosphere, and it's been a welcome addition to the town. So you've got the whole street front of few cafes there with some outdoor seating, and it's added, a whole new life, I think, to the high street. So although it's sad sometimes to move on from something that looked very lovely, I wouldn't want to lose any more flatbeds than we've currently lost. But I think for the two that we have lost with Taste of Stewards and by the Fountain, I think it will be a strange decision for the public if we, after the success and popularity of them, if we were to suddenly turn around and say no to the planning application. So I'm very happy to support it. Thank you.
Councillor Oswald?
Yeah, I just want to see the photographs of what the construction looks like.
Sorry, I can pop these down.
I think they're hidden behind.
Yeah.
I need to just.
That's what it looks like against it. All those listed buildings.
Can you see that? What do you want me to
Can
increase
you
it?
zoom in on the drawing pictures, the actual photographs?
Blimey, Frank. That okay?
So we could do a quick site visit.
As good as it gets, is it?
Forgive me, but what else can I do? I mean, seriously, let me just.
You're working well.
Listen.
Oh, that's good.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all
Thank you very much. That's the front and the side, and a view from the other side as well.
Yeah. Now that's front right in front, it's the longest continuous line of medieval buildings in the country. That bothers me a little bit because it's out of keeping, to be honest with you, from my point of view. But I can see where everybody else is coming, because it is you can't dispute the fact that it's popular, and I do like the idea of a more sort of outside dining situation, because it's social and it works. It's just unfortunate. It's right in that position.
Okay.
I'm torn over it, to be honest with you. And also, I do regret the flower beds going. That's the only. It's only on the one. We were just talking about the one flower bed, but there's no additional flower bed areas than what we've lost at the moment. Is that right?
No, that's the only.
We lost the two.
The two.
Yeah. I'm not.
There is a solution. Is to remove some of the car parking spaces and build a new flower.
Well, tell those in-
I think that's a quite good future.
Just a thought, you know.
That's a good point.
To be fair, though, I think they do put a lot of planting. I mean, I'm not sure this is the right time of year for it, but I do remember there was a lot of
hanging baskets.
They were
and
like
things,
hanging
yeah.
baskets and things like
Yeah,
that.
it'd be nice.
Plastic corrugated sheeting in front of those buildings, I don't think it's a go. You know, I'm going to vote against it purely on those lines rather than the flower bed line.
They don't actually use corrugated sheet, I don't think anymore. I think it tends to be more canvas, but I could be wrong.
I'm really torn on this as well, I must admit. One, because we are losing flowers, but I fully understand and support what's going on with the town. It's moving with the times. We are, we're creating that great atmosphere in town. But my concern, you showed my completely. My concern is that it is kind of taken away from our historic high street. And I think they've done it very tastefully. Apart from, again, and I haven't been up there recently, the roof situation, that is a bit of an eyesore. So
And the boards,
if we can put caveats around how that is dressed going forward, I think we would need to do that. But I am torn on it.
Well, this is sorry, Chairman, on that point, this is the planning application as it is. So that is what is being applied for.
Right.
If you're not happy with the materials being used for the roofing, then that I would suggest is a reason for you to refuse. You can't accept it, but ask to change the roof.
Because obviously it's quite light, it's quite area. I mean, on one hand, we're saying it obscures the view of the high street, but on the other hand, if you put something heavier or dark, it's going to obscure it more. So
You can't see a great deal through corrugated.
I think what I'll do, if it's okay, I'll go to Councillor Mrs Mockford and ask for her views as well, if that's okay, Julie.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you for allowing me to speak. Right, whilst as a councillor, I want to support local businesses, not only do I lament the loss of an award-winning flower bed, I also lament the times past when, if a business outgrew their premises, they relocated. They didn't expect everyone to roll over until they got their own way. I would be very interested to find out what the conservation area officer thinks of this structure. And I also question, as I note on the application, they want to put in an outdoor heater. Is that particularly sustainable outside? I don't think so. And that's really all I wanted to say. But I do think it's very sad. It's lovely that there's an outside space where people can congregate. And yes, we should be encouraging that, but not at the downfall of what was a beautiful area with something that's got polycarbonate roofing on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If I know, my concern as well is, even though it's coloured, when I have gone through the town, these kind of more colder times of the year, and I know they want to put heater in, but I kind of support this is not for this, it's not really going with the green theme of heating out, the world outside. Would a compromise that it's not a covered area because it's primarily used in the summer, and I know we're not a climate that has fair weather all the time. However, if you dropped it down and had the half level, you'd still regain the view of our high street, but still be allowing them to have external seating to expand their business. I'm just kind of looking at compromise. I'm not comfortable with that design the way it is with that roof on it to approve it.
So,
another question, just briefly. The actual boarding that's around their heads presumably just popping over the top of that as I was it, and just see the tops of their heads presumably. I think that's hideous too. I think those boards around there, I think they devolve.
I think we need to.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like it at all, actually.
So the proposal is for approval. Have a show of hands for approval, please. Well, we can put subject to the roofing.
The roofing.
So is that four hands for approval, but you're going to want a caveat to come forward?
Yes, please.
Right. Well, what caveat do you wish?
I think we'd like to vote against it if we get the chance, just as a matter of principle.
We can do
We can do.
that. We've just voted before, you can vote against it.
All those against.
There you go.
The businesses aren't from advice of the town clerk, I'm nervous about.
I think we perhaps
We
need a
like to
recorded
be-
vote.
we like to be inclusive, don't we? Yeah, so it's subject to a change to the roofing construction, really. And
For all of it.
Subject to design.
I think
and
we vote on
and-
it.
and
I would
the
just comment.
So would
When you're
support
standing
approval,
down on the street and you're looking up,
subject
it
to
looks different for you just when you're on the level where the
change
house is.
roofing
So it does
Material.
mitigate, where the house is.
and comment from the conservation.
I don't think you worry too much about it in a way, because you've got one of these storms we've had recently and all that.
Do you want to repeat what you said to her?
So what I have is
Sorry.
committee had no concern as to the structure, but did not like the aesthetic of the roof. It was thought to resemble a corrugated roofing. The committee would support approval subject to a changed roofing material and comment from the conservation officer.
I think that's very, very good.
Should I say appropriate comment from the conservation officer?
Thank you very much. Okay, so last on the list is DM 220274. No, it's not. Sorry. It's DM 220560. Knight and Butler Structural Steelwork Contractors, whoever they are, to use a traditional style of wooden A-board with double-sided signage of overall dimension, 53 by 50 by 90, with an advertising display space of 45.5 times 65 centimetres on each side. Now, I need to get this reasonably large, Frank. I stylized there.
What's that thing in front of it? That's good.
Hang on, that's just me. There you go.
Oh, look.
I was just letting Mrs. Mopford know if she wanted to leave, she was welcome to, because that was the item she was interested in.
Oh, so this is
She looks like she's in prison, but she's got little bars in front of her.
this is the A board that's going it's at the retreatery, which is on the corner of Judges Close. There was a map.
There is a map. I think you'd have to go down a bit. Yeah,
Sorry, it's because
there
I
you are.
had to make it so large for Frank's
That's right.
eyes.
I think that's the important one.
So this is, so the War Memorial is here. And then you've got the proposal where they're looking to do, where they're looking to put the A-board and that thoroughfare through here. This is going towards the tasting rooms.
I thought it was on the opposite side of the street where the brown thing is.
This is where it's going to be. That's a walk, that's pavement. And Douglas Close is down.
Yeah, so that's actually where Lloyd's Bank is.
Is that what you looked at?
No,
No,
that's not Lloyd's Bank. That's
it's the back of
the
Cook. You're quite right, Councillor Bessie.
So the retreatery is here, and then you've got the is it the nest, the tea nest? Or something like that. So, and then there's a walkway down to the bus stop here. There is an objection from the Access East Grinstead. Their comments were objections based on the fact that this application sets a precedent for A-boards in general and potentially sets the basis for their proliferation throughout the town centre. We have a long history of concern regarding A-boards and other street furniture, which can constitute an obstruction and potential hazard for people with mobility issues and also cause those with visual impairment, which is a very valid case. The other point I'd like to make as well, before I ask, I'll just take this one. Yes, you don't really, the thought of having A-boards at every single shop here along that top of the high street and on the opposite side of the road, once you get one, everybody will do it. And my thoughts are that this really needs to get referred to the conservation officer as well. I'm going to propose refusal on the basis that accessibility issues However, I do know that there are other Ables.
Yeah. I was just saying, like the cook shop itself has got an A-board outside it, so and there are others, so I don't know what grounds we are. doing some and not others.
It's because I don't.
It's because of narrowness of a particular point.
Yes,
And I assume it would come in at night time and things, it may be while the shop's open.
it's one of those things. Isn't it? I don't know why. I wish Fraser was here.
People put this application in what?
This is the thing. I think that the point is that they have the application in, so we have to actually make a judgment on it, irrespective of the others.
I'm happy to leave it to the conservation officer, etc., based and taking on board the comments from disability access.
Yeah.
I just want to make one comment, a practical comment, from the sort of obstruction for disabled people. I don't think any disabled people can't walk in that particular spot there, because if you look, the pavement is on this side, nobody walks around there, it's too dangerous. They come on the pavement, and they, on the, on those, if you look at the picture on the bottom side of the picture, they're not on the north side, where the board's going to be. I mean,
Well, the other thing to mention as well is that there's always, I've noticed chairs and tables here as well. Which, that causes a problem. So whether we're making a rock around back here, I don't know.
Just sort of like put this up with Google Earth, and it looks like there has been one there, which probably was just put out there by the people. And actually, it depends on where you locate it on this bit of pavement, because it gets to a point where it almost gets to the point of no return anyway. So how is it sitting up right here? But actually, it's really going to have no impact on the members of the public who are walking past.
So that thing is here, isn't it? Up here. That your thing.
That is there. See where the little red board is? That's there.
No, it's not.
It is.
do we know?
That's.
Oh, I see. Yes, I can see where you are.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That's the interesting judge's face there.
Oh God, here we go. So this is we're opening up a right audience that's here, aren't we? But at the end of the day, there is a recommendation for it.
No.
Town Mayor, can I?
Well, I was just going to say, I think you just hit on something there. And what we're talking about is the possibility of a precedent. And I actually wouldn't mind so much those who change just outside of the thing that's there. I'm used to one, so they're having a coffee. But I think the boards can cause a bit of an indiscriminate problem to people who are sight challenged and things like that. And the danger is we set a precedent, as you yourself said.
Can I just ask, but wouldn't this be better controlled by ordinary sort of law which obstructs the footway rather than a planning application? It seems to be the wrong thing.
It depends on where you put it on that as well.
If I can add a little bit of advice around that, the Highways Authority will license and accept and monitor A-boards as they go out. However, going through a planning application then gives you the right and takes away the subjective view of the planning of the highways officer.
Yeah. I don't think that's doing any harm there. I mean, if it showed me another one, I might vote against, I might vote the other way, but I'm not going to vote against that. I don't think that's causing a problem.
You might know that's right. The proposal is for refusal. And it was seconded. So we'll just go to the vote. All those in favour?
So conservation.
Subject to conservation. So
In favour of refusal.
yes.
How does that work? In favour of refusal, subject to conservation officer.
No,
What if
but
he
the
said
conservation
okay?
officer is going to be. Oh, I suppose.
The words I've got down here from what you've been saying,
Yeah.
tell me if this is wrong, recommend refusal. The precedent has been that A-boards in the conservation area are not welcomed. Committee note the Disability Access Group comments. The committee would like to hear the views of the conservation officer if this were approved.
No.
Yeah.
I think we're safer than nice. This is going for the officers. We've made our representation.
Yeah.
I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining. So well, actually, we went to vote. But I think it wasn't. Who get through that? All those in favour? Sorry. Oh, against. Abstaining.
Susan, just
Well,
one
you're
vote.
against it, you're against it.
So that was 4 in favour of the recommendation.
Was that the refusal?
Yeah.
Was that mean, I thought the proposal was in favour of it?
No.
No, it's refused. Did you vote the wrong way, councillor?
Interestingly enough, I don't think I can go home tonight because they're digging up the bloody road and they're blocking the end of my road.
Okay, so we're on video, we're on video.
So I might make it.
Right.
Propose the vote at 8.
Right,
Oh,
that, I propose
It's all done.
that is the end of the meeting
Thank you so much.
at 7:45.
Well done, Deputy.
Tell Mr.